Hello and welcome back to RailRoads Online. So today we are here going to be jumping back into the Montezuma. Going to be turning around and doing some back loads here. It did turn around and just recently get back from vacation that kind of extended out a little bit longer than I wanted to there. So I actually turned around and little bit of a break in the videos here, but we are going to be jumping back into it today. And we should be kind of running clear, from here to the finish on the layout. Don't anticipate too many other breaks. We should just be able to kind of get in the videos from here. So I did turn around and miss a few questions, comments, things like that, and apologize for that, but can't always get to that when a person is on vacation on the opposite side of the world. So today we're just going to jump back in, run some trains, and see how everything's doing. We do turn around and know that the log pond is empty. And then we're going to kick around some other ideas. Turn around the loop that we had put in for cordwood. Don't arguably need. We do need one more shortcut. But now that we actually have that Y in there by the logging camp, we could actually just turn around and get rid of the loop that we have in there. And then look at extending this end of the rail, although right now this end of it is the rail head. But I think once we turn around and get some of the backstock cut up here, we're going to turn around and extend the rail out. So that's really going to be the idea. But the log pond is just straight on empty, so we're going to have to start there and make sure we have some wood to actually do stuff with, is the idea there. And make sure that we're ready for our next stage out. No point in extending the rail if we don't really have the product to run, right? So, and for some reason we are not running with a ton of power here. I suppose actually it's pressure. Didn't have the wood in this thing. It's been sitting for a hot minute, so there you go. We are running out of pressure. Always one nice thing to run a bunch of loads. When you do get one of the locos heated up, you might as well run it. So this one we will be at least running logs probably until the pond is full. And we'll be going from there. Probably going to get all the way down there. Should have probably monitored our steam use a little bit better, and we probably could have got down there with no problems at all. As is, we are slowing down here a little bit, but we're about to really start producing some pressure, so it shouldn't be a big deal. It's not like we're going to come to a stop. Good to go. Yeah, nice quiet little whistle. Everything barely doing a thing, but still doing a thing nonetheless. Good thing is camp's right up here. Turn around, come in, take a look at this. This is the loop we really don't need, because we could always come in here, load, and then shift around on this. So I don't know whether I want to get rid of this loop and just turn everything around, run in here. It probably makes more sense. This is probably added that does not need to really actually be there anymore. We probably will go in and get rid of that. Not really necessary. Nothing else over there. It isn't going to go anywhere. It isn't going to do anything. It's just kind of a waste. Two switches we don't need, quite frankly. Alright, scooting along. A little better steam management there would have been smart. We could have kept the speed up. Alright, let's take a look ahead here and make sure these aren't really going to matter because they're all going to auto flip. This we are on to wood. Cool. And again, this one battery, so we can run it in and then back it through and go back that way. We don't need that loop. Is the loop more convenient? That's an argument to be made, but it's two switches we definitely don't need. I'd almost rather put in holding rail here than turn around and have. Of course, we don't even need holding rail here. Really? We'll just get rid of that. It's not like we gave up much to get it, you know? Don't need to worry about that one. Easy enough running here. Now that the loco's actually picking up a little bit of speed. Probably could start trading things in for faster locomotives. Speed is always your friend. Well, not always, I guess. Shouldn't say that. Get this down. First loading back from vacation, so this should be interesting. Always nothing like going to work right after vacation. Alright, let's see. Take it a little more chill probably on this one. Probably not going to let us use that crane at all. Of course not. Not a huge fan of the little cars, to be honest. As far as the loading procedure, I've always thought they're just kind of a little bit of a pain. They just don't line up the greatest. But nothing new there. It's just kind of what they've always been. I just don't like these. I'd rather really deal with the full-size cars. It's so much easier just to line them up and get it done. This has always just kind of been a waste of time. But for the price of the cars, you start with the cars, there's all of that, you know? And then you just never get smooth. Other things, I guess, some of the comments, I guess I'd go over. You know, I get asked a bunch of times, why am I back to playing the game? You know, I look at it like I've always enjoyed playing the game. Don't have a ton of glitches in the game. I know a lot of people complain. Performance with this game has always varied between, you know, who has it to download. It seems like whatever your computer specs, a lot of things. I don't have a lot of tremendous glitches in the game. Can't, you know, I couldn't point out 10 of them that are like game-breaking glitches as far as you ask me. So I look at it like I got the game that is, you know, there. Do I think it's perfect? Do I think it's finished? Yeah, always a debate of what you think is finished, you know. I'm one of those people, I did say when the game hit release that we didn't know what ongoing development was going to be like. I know some people complain because we haven't had an update since last December, but I don't remember anybody ever saying that there were coming updates past that. I know the devs have said that they're working on some things, but no official announcement about anything at this point. So would it be nice to get some more stuff along the way? Absolutely. But I have no idea. So as far as I'm concerned, up until that point, I mean, I already paid for the game. The game's out. So when people go, why are you playing it? Well, I have it. That's why I'm playing it. You know, I'm not playing it because I'm saying they are coming out with anything new tomorrow. I know when Mesa Plains came out, like, at that point, I was kind of like, had a lot of hours in the game and ready to take a break from the game. So this is kind of like I wanted to go back and actually give Mesa Plains, you know, a more proper playthrough. That's really what this is. So, you know, there you go. That's why I'm playing it. Still enjoy the game. Don't have a lot of problems with it. The game has a lot more features in it at this point than it ever did when I first started playing the game. It's much easier to play, more, you know, flushed out, a lot of things. So, you know, I don't know. A lot of games out there that are not perfect and people play them. So that's kind of just my take on that question. And then obviously if we get anything new along the way, that would be super cool. And, you know, if I knew, you know, we would know. But haven't heard anything. Got no idea. Hopefully, maybe with the anniversary coming up from the last update, we'll get something. Who knows? Alright, let's scoot this along. I don't know, I guess I have other games that have not gotten updates that I play those as well. So I guess maybe I'll look at it differently. That's probably a horrible, horrible spot, but we'll give it a shot, see what we get. Alright, that one's working. That one's done doing its thing. Let's go. Always more locos everybody wants to see in the game, that's for sure. I mean, they could probably plug locos in forever. Would I love to see the game moddable? Yeah, absolutely. It'd be super cool if they figured out how to let the community have some impact and models, maps, other things like that would be super cool. I think a lot of people would look forward to that. Any game you play, you want them to always keep going and make more. If you enjoy the game, at least that's how I tend to look at it. We'll just have to see what we get. I know the devs have turned around and said they're working on something. They just don't have an official announcement about it yet because they haven't worked everything out in there. So who knows what that is or what it could be. It could just be that, no developer ever wants to turn around and say, oh yeah, we're totally done with the game and we're never going to touch it again. Because they don't want to tell people that either. So, who knows? There's two sides to it. If I knew what to tell you, I'd love to tell you. Don't know. So we're going to run this one through the Y today. Again, this is just getting back to trying to figure out where we're on the railroad before the vacation. I mean, in disclosure, I have been on vacation for weeks. So just getting back to running the railroad and figuring out where everything's at is kind of the thing. Never hurts to go back and start with some logs. I do like this section in here. Might have to dress it up a little bit to make that a little more unique, but I do like the trees and the way everything runs in there. Especially if we're going to use it. So you're going to try this out the first time here and see if this actually goes fairly decent. Probably just get rid of the loop back that direction. I guess I'd rather get rid of loops if at all possible on this layout. It'd be nice to have a layout that just doesn't really have any loops. I don't think I've ever really done that. I tend to rely upon loops quite a bit. But this one I think we can get rid of. Things are easy enough to switch right here. Okay, we got that switched. Grab that there. That way. Good. So one more move here. Originally, the loop over here, the kind of idea was that we'd be parking something there, but then in reality, you don't need the cordwood for absolutely anything other than cordwood. So as long as we main on the logs and have somewhere to hold these, that's all we really need. Won't be doing too much crazy there. I do think that's a large part of people's game performance is you turn around and stick so much in the save file that's where a lot of people run into a problem. So, always been more apt to build for simplicity and then stick in stuff later when you want to, which unfortunately sometimes it means you never get it in there because you move on to the next save file or whatever else before you ever end up decorating a ton or decking things out. Just sadly the way that the game plays out sometimes, or quite often. get up to speed the last run here. Hopefully, we'll get up some speed. Yeah, I think that's going to work. So the loop is definitely going to take a walk. This loop is going to be rejected. In fact, we could probably turn around and do this. Let's see if we can get up here. Yeah, we can just get rid of the loop. Before the train ever even gets here is going to be our goal. So we'll get rid of that. Get rid of that. I think we'll just keep that piece so we don't have any problems. Better hurry up here before we have a bigger problem. Alright, that one is filled in. Not going to move this main section just in case, who knows. May always want to put it back. Then we know we have the brakes. Uh-oh. That's not going to be good if we can't get that gap filled in. I guess we're not going to need that. Let's go from here. I was gonna say that one being a little tricky. Not really wanting to work out very nicely there on that one. But we got it. Should be no problem. We'll go out here and clean this up. Could almost just turn around and leave this out here like deserted rail pieces. One of the guys does that, like absolutely super cool sections of just like deserted rail. It's one of those things, like some people have a knack for it. Just leaving it, making it look super cool. Alright, moving along there. We'll hop up in here. See if we can open this up a little bit. 2 less switches to worry about. Is this like got any brakes on this shit? I wouldn't think so, because if it had brakes on, you would think like it wouldn't even be moving. This engine just doesn't have that kind of extra power to turn with the brakes on cars much. Alright, there we're down. We'll just let it run from here. Back that up. Two less switches actually to worry about. Always changing the rails. You know, what you need early on is not what you necessarily need later. So one thing I would always say with building a layout is don't, be afraid to be flexible. Some people I know are like, I can't get rid of anything. And it's like, you can't. Actually, it's crazy. There's delete, there's add, there's undo, all that. You can do things. Don't be afraid to try new things in the game. That's one thing I would say. After doing tons of layouts, right? There's a lot of different ways you can do things. You are certainly not like putting in an overabundance of effort into this. I mean, as far as it's not really not that it's not putting in effort, it's just not really going fast. Is really the thing, but we already know that. That's why this one is just reduced to a log loco at this point. And again, a lot of that has to do with the cars. Fits the cars. The cars fit it. And we do turn around and get 50 logs per load. Doesn't have to do great things, so it's not doing great things, It's just a utility run. No harm, no fun. Keeping it simple. should be looking to step up locos now that we actually have, like, you know, a loco for everything. So at this point, we would just be starting to go bigger, but we do know that we're going to have some big trains coming up, or some much bigger trains that we're going to want to be running coming up. Moving coal, things like that. When you start having those long runs, we're going to have to definitely double or triple, quadruple our hopper count for that matter, which also means, you know, tractive effort for that. It's going to have to go up. Speed, likewise, on the distance is going to be nice. So we should be getting in some 10-wheelers. Nice thing is we do have a good assortment of locos for doing plenty of different things, or however one would like to do different things. That's why I look at it. Kind of excited to get back and try to get in and get the layout going and get it built up for sure. I know we kind of got in that beginning foothold right before went on vacation, and now I'm just kind of biting at the opportunity to actually get it finished here when we get time. So probably next episode we should be building is going to be the idea, expanding the railroad again. Probably would have been doing that on this episode, but just kind of wanted to get in just a straight up train run. You know, again, been a couple of weeks, so full disclosure, just kind of looking to get in and run a train, see where the railroad's at, make sure we didn't have cars and trains left to foul. All of that, as we have had a shutdown on the railroad effectively. So the boilers are steaming again. Yeah, this one I could definitely see getting more oomph on it. The problem is, if we get more oomph on it, we're probably going to do bigger cars. If we do bigger cars, we need a bigger loco. It's a chain. It's a chain of events the second we go to replace this. Alright, that we can leave there. That we can go over to the dump line. We definitely don't want to run this one into the yard. Not going to need to do that. Will be coming in for a rest here. Gonna be our round trip run for the day. We will be making plenty of more runs because we're gonna get this filled up while we have the loco warm and get the money out of it, because quite frankly we need it. Don't have a lot of money on the railroad right now. These things always like just slam into each other, then start bouncing around like pickup sticks. So rather than smash them all into each other, gonna just kind of try to go with unloading every other car, and that seems to be working out nice because then they're not expanding into each other. Takes care of that run. We will turn around and take a look at our XP. 4,000 in cash, 15,092 XP, so about halfway up to tier 6. Not that like tier counts is a big thing for us, though. Always nice to open up new locomotives and whatnot. Money is kind of a big target for us right now, as it will be the key to our adding rolling stock. But I think for the most part we are going to call that one a successful return to the rail from vacation. Call it a win and say thanks for tuning in. Remember, if you get a chance, like, share, subscribe. Subscriptions are free, but they sure do help the channel. Y'all have a great day.